It's neck and neck in the English Premier League. Manchester City asked the question, Arsenal duly answered, following an emphatic 4-1 win in the North London derby. With that, I welcome you to another exciting edition of your favorite sports show. It is Sports Pizza. My name is Edwin Onyebolise. I'm happy, excited to be here once again. There's so much to talk about from the world of sport, from tennis, and of course to football. Don't forget, on the Tipsters Corner, we give you the very best tips going into the weekend. Once again, it is Sports Pizza. Edwin in the building. I have my own boy Bankole on set. I'll be bringing him shortly when we return from this break. Don't go nowhere. All right, welcome back. It is Sports Pizza. Good to have my homeboy Banky in the building. How you doing?
It's good to be here. It was not the best of weekends.
Yeah, Milan lost.
Milan losing.
Inter Milan won.
Although you can say it has been one of the most unremarkable unbeaten runs for the first time since the start of the season. The end of the Scudetto dreams. Hopefully, we can consolidate on the Champions League.
Finish
second.
Top
Yes,
yeah.
That's the dream now.
All right, where do we start? Let's start from the English Premier League. Manchester City defeated Newcastle United 2-1, and 24 hours later, Arsenal needed to respond, and they did respond in emphatic fashion. Let's start with the London derby. Do you think Arsenal have shown us that, you know what, we can answer whatever questions City posed to us? Was that the performance that gave us the signal that yes, they are ready to win the title?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think that was the performance. I think throughout this season, Arsenal have always shown to be the better team. They've shown to be in pole position for the title. So I don't think the 4-1 victory against the Spurs, who are currently in a relegation battle, would signify any import. I don't think we'd learn anything from that game. We'd not learn anything about Spurs. We're not going to learn anything about Arsenal, from that particular encounter. I think the game was more about how terrible Spurs are than how good Arsenal are. And this is not, taking anything away from Arsenal. They've been good all through the season. But that particular encounter was, I wouldn't judge, whatever it is that we're going to see, in the upcoming weeks in the season of that encounter. I think it's still going to be a very difficult, title running for both teams. I still think at some points we'll see both teams drop points. At some points, both teams will have to face off each other. City still have an outstanding game that might reduce the deficit to 2 points. And I think that's when it might get tricky for Arsenal. With 5 points, you still have a proper cushion. You have that allowance for error. But with 2 points, then you start to you start to be cautious. We saw it the other day. There were certain moments where they were quite jittery. At the back, the equalizer from Spurs was a mistake. If Spurs had been a little bit better, they would have taken advantage of more errors from Arsenal. It was up until the second half they stepped up and started pressing Spurs more. So I think for Arsenal, it's going to be a constant theme all through the season where a large period of the game they would be cautious. They would be, trying carefully not to, lose all 3 points or not to drop any, points. So and if they go on and play the same way against Chelsea, I don't think we'll be seeing the same result. I think Chelsea are much more equipped, to punish them if they make the errors they made against Spurs.
For Manchester City, the first half was near perfect. Erling Haaland didn't score, provided an assist. We saw the movement of Omar Mamouche. Nico Riley got a brace. But the second half, they barely hung on Bankole, and maybe that's the difference between Manchester City and Arsenal in the title running. Arsenal gives you that, yes, when they are on their A game, they give you that feeling of assurance that, we can hold our own in defense and score 1 or 2 goals. Whereas for City, it was them trying to hang on and needing the world-class reflexes of a certain Donnarumma in goal.
Yeah, it has been a constant theme all through the season. City's second half performances have always been a total opposite of their first half performances. We've seen it even in the game against Spurs, the 2-2 draw against Spurs. The first half was an absolutely whitewash, of Spurs, and then the second half they allowed Spurs get into the game. Even against Liverpool, also you could see how they dominated the first half and allowed Liverpool back, in the second half, despite winning, that encounter. So I think this is something we've seen from City all through the encounter. Difficulty in terms of controlling games. And I think you also have to look back to the fact that ever since Nico Gonzalez has lost his starting berth, in that team, it has affected, how City their ability to control games. Rodri, I don't think I've been convinced by him this season. I think he has not gotten to full fitness. Maybe by next season or by the World Cup, we'll be seeing a different version of Rodri. But for now, I think he's probably one of their biggest problems. Which is quite weird to say, a Ballon d'Or winner. But you look at Nico O'Reilly also. he seems like a player who might go on to become a very great player. But at the moment, I don't think he has understood the basic, element of controlling games. He's always full throttle.
Maybe that's not his game. Maybe
No,
that's
no,
not his game.
So that's the thing. I think there are
Crashing into the box.
There are too many players who are runners, who are ball carriers instead of tempo controllers. In that City team, you have Haaland, you have Omar Mamouche, you have Semenyo, you have Phil Foden. Even Bernardo Silva is not, as good as he used to be. His physical levels have dropped significantly. All of these guys are not guys you would associate with control. And I think that's something that has been a problem for City all through the season. So Pep Guardiola is one of the best managers around. I'm sure in a title running, we would find a way to negate this. If not, find a way to completely solve it. But when you have that amount of firepower up front, I don't think you'll be really bothered. If you can trash teams for 2 for 3 in the first half, then maybe that might be something that you might want to rely on.
All right, back away from the top 2. Let's go straight to Chelsea. From winning positions, they've dropped 19 points. 17 of those points have come from home. Bankole, that's a huge problem. When you look at the fact that you convert half of those points and they are closer to the top than where they are right now, which is closer to the mid-table.
Yeah, so for Chelsea, I think I'm tired of the rhetoric about young players, inexperience.
But they're inexperienced.
I don't think so.
They are inexperienced.
I don't think so. I saw training pictures where you have the likes of Chaluba, you have the likes of Garnacho, João Pedro, Cole Palmer with 100 Premier League appearances, even Enzo Fernandez. All of these guys have 100 Premier League appearances. Now let's go to Wesley Fofana, who has been in the league for years. You have Robert Sanchez, who has been in the league for years. Reece James also is a Champions League winner. And I don't Caicedo and the likes. These are guys who you would say are seasoned campaigners in the Premier League. So when you talk about the inexperience, when you talk about, are they young players? Absolutely. But that inexperienced part is the part where I don't agree with. Enzo Fernandez is a World Cup winner. So I think there is something innately wrong with Chelsea. And it's not just about, the players. I think
is it a quality problem?
It is a squad assemblage problem. I think the profile of players don't just work together. I don't think a Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez is a midfield combination that can win you titles. In long run, I don't think that is a combination that can win you titles. I think at the first start of this project, I think it was just buying players for the sake of buying players. I didn't think there was a clear thought process, into arranging a squad, capable of challenging for the title. So I look at that Chelsea team, and these are not bad players. I just think it's the way they complement each other. It just doesn't fit. You also look at the indiscipline that have burdened them this season. 6 red cards. The highest,
that's more than wins they have.
The highest in the league, especially at game situations where they have absolute control. In the game against Burnley, I didn't think Burnley stood a chance up until that red card. They could have had 3-4 goals. The lackluster performance from Cole Palmer, Gusto also was, I don't know, I think it was just arrogance, and I think it was something the manager also alluded to. If you are in that position, you take teams to the cleaners. You had numerous chances, to score 3-4 goals, against a Burnley team who have struggled, all through the season. But for Chelsea, I just think it's the fact that the powers that be, the people in charge of the recruitment, have done a terrible job at assembling the squad.
And Liverpool got a last gasp win against Nottingham Forest in the English Premier League. McAllister with his first goal, or his first Premier League goal of the season. It's neck and neck at the top. Also, you look at the top 4 battle or top 5 battle, it's also fair. So you have Aston Villa right now in the mix. You have Manchester United, there's Liverpool, and there's, of course, Chelsea. Not only do we have a battle in the English Premier League, we also have one in the Spanish La Liga. Right about now, Barcelona have regained their spots. They relinquished to Real Madrid a couple of weeks ago, Banky. And we know it's going to go neck and neck. But you get the feeling that on the long run, one team might nick it because they have a more balanced way of playing, a more structured way of playing. They have a bit of identity to them as opposed to the other. And you know who I'm talking about. Barcelona, I think, in this moment are better than Real Madrid, solely down to how they play and what they can offer in games. Whereas for Real Madrid, it's all about struggle, but you have that individual talent or individual quality to build them out.
Yeah, absolutely. You look at Barcelona, and yes, they have a system, they have an identity. It's not perfect, but it's something that they can rely on. It's something. It is a structure which these players, can really fall back into. Against Levante, Levante had chances, to score. It could easily have been 2-2. It could easily have been 3-3. But I look at that Barcelona team in comparison to a Real Madrid team, and at the end of the day, probably might boil down to the El Clasico. I think both of these teams might still, drop points in the long run, and the winner of the next El Clasico might probably be the winner of the league. I look at that Real Madrid team, and it's I struggle to put words, to describe the problem of Real Madrid. You have Vinicius Junior, you have Kylian Mbappe. These are guys who would walk into any team in the world. These are guys who, on their day, would single-handedly defeat, a lot of teams in the La Liga. You look at the structure of the midfield: Tchouaméni, Camavinga, Fede Valverde. Personally, I am not convinced by any of these guys. I don't think these guys are good enough. And you look at them week in, week out, struggling to get that consistency that you would need, to win a league title. We saw it last season also. For the cup competitions, it is easier, to go through it and win Champions League, win the Copa del Rey and all. But for league title, you need a huge amount of consistency that I don't think, that Real Madrid midfield, can provide you. So even if they don't win the league this season, if Real Madrid don't decide, to revamp, that midfield, I don't think they'll win, a La Liga title in a very long time. Even defensive-wise, they've always been that inconsistency in terms of personnel. One minute you have Nelson and Rudiger, the next minute you have David Alaba and Raul Asensio.
Yeah.
And you look at all of these names also, they are not good enough. Even full-back position, I think the only person in this Real Madrid squad or the defensive side of things is Thibaut Courtois, who can hold his head up high, the best goalkeeper in the world for me. So I think for Real Madrid, it's a case of investing in the squad. They've spent money, but I don't think they've spent it wisely. Yes, the introduction of Kylian Mbappe, the introduction of Bellingham, these are guys who, in quotes now, are Galacticos. But I think in terms of water carriers, in terms of people who would actually do the work, I think that has to be the main priority in the summer.
Before we leave the Spanish La Liga, let's quickly talk about Ademola Lookman. What have you made of his stats at Atletico Madrid?
Yeah, brilliant start for Ademola Lookman. I don't think I'm surprised. Like I said, when he made that move, if there's anything who can mirror his role for the national team in clubs as is Atletico Madrid, and that's exactly what we've seen from him so far. He has played as a pseudo striker, a pseudo supporting striker, coming in from the left side. So I think for Ademola Lookman, he's going to get goals. In the Spanish La Liga, he's going to probably have a lot of influence, in that Atletico Madrid team, especially when you consider Julian Alvarez has been off it for a while. Griezmann is 1 billion years old. Yeah. Alexander Sørloth, is struggling with injury. So I think for Ademola Lookman, in the long run, he probably might be one of the best players in the Spanish La Liga.
There you have it, one of the very best in the Spanish La Liga. At this point, we'll go on a short break. When we return this morning on the show, it is Sports Pizza. Welcome back. I'm sure you're having so much fun with us. It is Sports Pizza. You can follow us on our social media platforms. The handles are showing on your screen. We also have a dedicated YouTube page for all of the editions you've missed. We have them on our YouTube page for your pleasure. Banky, quick one from the world of tennis. Carlos Alcaraz is on a 12-game winning streak this year, unbeaten from the Australian Open finals, where he defeated Novak Djokovic to become the youngest male tennis player to win all 4 Grand Slams. And right now he's won the Qatar Open, where he defeated Otto Fields in 50 minutes. In fact, that's his least amount of time on court when winning a title. And it just shows you that the young man who has said this year, 2026, is going for all titles, is going to take some serious force to stop him.
And I don't even think Jannik Sinner has it in him to stop him. I love Jannik Sinner, but when you look at Alcaraz and the way he plays, the way he can adapt, to any of his opponents, the way he has the perfect balance of physical side of things and also technique. You know, you look at the Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal, you know, combined, you know, together, and that's exactly what Carlos Alcaraz is. I saw the final against Otto Fields, and the winning shot, you know, for the title, it was something that you wouldn't expect from, you know, an average tennis player. You know, he was like returning a smash, you know, a smash that I don't think will probably take my hands off. You know, and for Carlos Alcaraz, like I said, is going to dominate the ATP circuit for a very long time.
And for the ladies, Pegula defeated Svitolina in the final of the Dubai Championship. It ended in a straight set 6-2, 6-4. For her, it was a 10th WTA title. Perfect birthday present for her because she turns 32 this week.
Yeah, and for Pegula, someone who has been here and about for a very long time.
Yeah.
Even though the Grand Slams have been quite elusive, you know, for her, she has racked a decent amount, you know, of WTA titles. And yeah, for a perfect birthday present for us, Svitolina is one of my favorite female tennis players. Also, someone who has been there and about, you know, you get to see all of these players in the WTA circuit, and in the next Grand Slam or even in the next WTA tournament, you probably won't see any of these guys, you know, in the semi-finals. That's how inconsistent the WTA circuit is. But yeah, for Jessica Pegula, I think it is well deserved.
All right, Banky, let's come home. This time it is the NPFL. We know at the top of the table you have the likes of Ikorodu City, Rangers, Nassau United, and Rivers United. At the bottom, you have Bayelsa United, Kwara United, Kun Khalifa, and Remo Stars defending champion. Now, there's been a conspiracy theory that the reason why Remo Stars are rooted to the bottom of the league is that the owner of the club, Honorable Kule Shoname, was critical of referees, and maybe there's an attempt to punish him by virtue of sending his club down to the NNL.
I don't think so. Well, let me say I don't think so. I don't agree. You know, I think Remo Stars' biggest problem was the fact that he had about 16 to 17 first-team players, you know, leave. This current Remo Stars team is very different from the team that went on to win the title.
Yeah.
You know, and the 17 players are not, you know, just bench players. The first team, the entire starting 11, you know, with a couple of important, you know, sub players all leaving, you know, the club side. I think for any team, you probably have that same effect. You know, you probably have, you know, them struggle, you know, to maintain their status as an NPFL team. So for the conspiracy theory about refs, I mean, we've seen some terrible officiating in the league this season. We've seen some terrible officiating over the years, you know, in the league. So I cannot entirely vouch for Nigerian referees. You know, I cannot entirely vouch for the Nigerian refereing body. You know, these are not people that I would consider trustworthy. But for Remo Stars, I think the biggest problem is not, or their biggest problem is not, are not referees. You know, are not the refereeing bodies. You know, I think it's just down to the fact that you had a significant chunk, you know, of their first teamers, you know, leave, and that's something that has plagued the team all through the season.
And finally, from the home team, Banky, the Super Eagles of Nigeria in this moment will not be going to the World Cup, but we have two friendly matches coming up. It's a four-nation tourney where Iran and Jordan, Nigeria, and one other country. But what do you think about it? Nigeria, Iran, Nigeria, Jordan?
So I think it's one of those things, especially for a country that won't be at the World Cup. It's probably preparation for the African Cup of Nations that will be taking place.
Yeah, qualifiers also.
When you also consider that we might not be having a manager, there's a chance that we might not be having a manager at that tournament. So I think it's just one of those things that we probably won't learn anything from. It's just a friendly match just to fill in the gaps. And
for Eric Chell, quickly, your 2 cents on his demands.
Yeah, I've given him the leverage. I think he has the power, you know. So when a manager is in that position, I think would want to take full advantage of it, and that's what Eric Chell is doing. I think anybody would be doing the same in his position. And I don't agree that his demands are ridiculous. I think it's only fair. If you are a nation that wants to win titles, if you're a nation that wants to challenge, I think it's only fair that you put your manager in a position where, you know, he's able, you know, to also provide the best of you know, environment for his team. So yeah, I absolutely agree, you know, with Eric Chell. Let's go on a short break. We'll give you our video for the week. All right, welcome back. It is the final segment of the show, the Tipstars Corner. We have 2 games
for our punters today. The first one is the London Derby, Arsenal versus Chelsea, and of course the Klassiker in Germany, it is Borussia Dortmund versus Bayern Munich.
Yeah, Arsenal against Chelsea. So this is a difficult one. As much as I think Arsenal are the better team. I think for Arsenal, like I said in the last couple of weeks, this is a team that has been a bit jittery, at the back. And if there's any team, that can sense that jittery and take advantage of it, I think it's Chelsea. You look at the quality that they have up front. João Pedro, is in decent form. 11 Premier League goals this season. So I think that's something that can bother the Arsenal team. And when you consider that for both teams, there are no midweek games, so they'll be going into that game fully rested. I think for Chelsea, this is a game where they might nick a point. I'm seeing a 1-1 draw. In this particular account, I'm seeing a score draw. Generally, maybe I know. But if you want to, put your money on it, probably an over 1.5. Both teams to score. Double chance for either of the teams. I think that's something that you can go with. For Dortmund against Bayern, now this is a game that I've always provided goals, over the years. I'm over 2.5, over 3.5. But I think Bayern will win this. I think for Dortmund, it has been a really good season for Niko Kovac. I think he has gone underrated, under the radar this season. For a manager who his reputation prior to the Dortmund job has been, neither here or there. So I think he has gone into that team and he has stabilized them. So for Bayern, I think it's been an avenue for them to increase, the gap on the summit of the Bundesliga table. So Bayern to win, a double chance on over 1.5, a 1-up, for Bayern also. Like I said, an over 2.5, over 3.5 is also something you can consider, in terms of adding to your ACA.
All right, there you have it. Remember to always bet responsibly. Sports Pizza is not liable for any bet loss. We only give you expert opinion on the possible outcomes of these games. You have to be 18 years and above. This is where we drop anchor on today's show. Banky, always a pleasure having you on set.
Yeah, Edwin, it's always good to be here. And for me, to our viewers, have yourself a lovely weekend.
And for me, Edwin, do have a fantastic sporting week.